All right, let's get right into it. We need to talk about one of the biggest paradoxes in business right now. We're all hearing about the incredible promise of AI, right? But at the same time, we keep hearing about this staggering failure rate. So what is actually going on? Today, we're going to get to the root of that problem. And I'll tell you right now, the answer is probably not what you're expecting. So let's start with this number. 80%. That's the failure rate for AI projects that studies from Alex Partners and the Rand Corporation are estimating. And if you think that's bad, MIT's research is even more brutal. They found that 95% of generative AI pilots deliver zero measurable return. But you know what? These numbers, as shocking as they kind of hide the real question we should be asking. And that is the question. Fail at what exactly? Does it mean the tech was buggy, the data was a mess, the team just wasn't good enough? Well, the whole argument we're exploring today is that the failure is happening way before anyone writes a single line of code. And this right here, this is the heart of the matter. The number one reason AI projects fall apart is because of a simple, fundamental misclassification. A company thinks it's greenlighting a simple optimization, making something a little faster, a little cheaper. But what they've actually kicked off is a transformation, something that's going to completely rewire the way the business operates. So you see, this isn't a tech problem. It's a taxonomy problem, a crisis of classification. The issue isn't the AI, it's that we're putting the wrong label on the box from day one, and that single mistake kicks off this fatal chain reaction. The timeline, the budget, the people involved, the metrics for success, it all gets completely tangled and misaligned, all because we started with the wrong definition of what we were doing. To really get this, we have to clear up another huge point of confusion: the difference between real innovation and simple integration. Look, rolling out Microsoft Copilot to your team, that's integration. You're deploying a known thing. It's valuable, for sure, but it isn't innovation. And when we confuse the two, things go sideways fast. We treat integration like innovation, and suddenly we're stuck in pointless discovery workshops. It's like holding a meeting to figure out what a hammer does. Or worse, we treat real innovation like integration, and we suffocate it with rigid deadlines and a fixed scope. That's like telling Christopher Columbus he has to discover America in 3 weeks on a fixed budget. Either way, you're set up to fail. Okay, so your next thought might be, let's just grab a business framework off the shelf. But here's the problem. The old models just don't work for AI. You might try Clayton Christensen's theory of disruption, right? But that's all about cheap tech starting at the bottom of a market. AI is doing the exact opposite. It's coming in from the top with premium, powerful capabilities. Or how about Nagy and Tufts' ambition matrix? Well, that measures how new a product is, but it completely ignores how a tiny AI tool can cause a massive earthquake inside your company. Even something like wordly mapping has a tough time, because AI isn't just one component on the map. It's a whole mix of things, from brand new Genesis to everyday commodity, all at the same time. And here's the wild part. This is not a new problem. A groundbreaking study from way about in 1990 by Henderson and Clark looked at the semiconductor industry and found the exact same pattern. Big established companies weren't failing because they didn't have the tech. They failed because they misclassified a major architectural innovation as just a small, incremental one. The technology is completely different today, but the mistake, that critical classification error, is identical. So, if the old playbooks are busted, what do? We need a new one, a new AI playbook that starts by measuring the one thing that actually matters. And here it is. This is the new axis we need to be looking at. Forget about market novelty or how cool the tech is. The only classification that really tells you what you're dealing with is its organizational impact. How deeply is this thing you're building going to change the way your people work, the way they make decisions, and the way your company creates value? That's the question. This new playbook lays it out so clearly. You've got 3 paths. An optimization just improves a process that's already there. Think 3 to 12 months. An adjacency actually modifies your operating model. That's a bigger deal, maybe 6 to 24 months. But a transformation, that changes the fundamental way your organization functions. And look at that timeline, 18 to 48 months. So when you misclassify a 4-year transformation as a 9-month optimization, you aren't just off by a little bit. You've guaranteed failure before you've even started. Okay, that framework makes sense, but how do you use it in the real world? How do you know which of those 3 buckets your project actually falls into? Well, it comes down to a brilliantly simple diagnostic tool. All you have to do is ask this one question. If we just turn this AI off tomorrow, could we go back to doing things the old way? That's it. This simple thought experiment just cuts through all the hype and all the technical jargon and puts the focus exactly where it needs to be, on the real-world impact to your organization. And the answer key is just as straightforward. If the answer is yes, easily, congratulations, you have a true optimization. If the answer is, it would be painful and messy, but I guess it's possible, then you're dealing with an adjacency. But if the answer is no way, it's unthinkable, because the entire organization has rewired itself around this new tool, well, then you've got a transformation on your hands, and you absolutely have to fund it, staff it, and manage it like one. And look, this isn't just a theory. The data backs it up completely. This analysis from scrum.org is eye-opening. A massive 65% of AI failures are because of organizational issues. Only 22% are because of actual technical problems. It's almost never about the algorithm failing, it's about the organization failing to understand the project. The RAND study is even more direct. They went and talked to 65 experienced data scientists and asked them, what's the #1 reason these things fail? Their answer? The stakeholders don't understand the problem they're trying to solve. Leadership is telling them to go solve the wrong problem. See, it all points back to that same root cause, a fundamental error in classification at the very beginning. Okay, so let's make this super practical for you. Right now, you can diagnose your own AI initiative. You just need to ask 3 questions that are designed to expose the gap between what people think the project is and what it really is. First, what did your organization actually approve? Go look at the business case, check the official timeline, the budget. That tells you the official classification. Second, what does this project really require? Now you apply that reversibility test we just talked about. And third, where's the gap? That gap you find between answer 1 and answer 2, that's your misclassification. And it's not just some vague risk. It is a precise prediction of exactly how and why your project is going to run into trouble. Which brings us right back to where we started. This isn't really a new AI problem, is it? It's a timeless business problem. Just like Henderson and Clark wrote over 30 years ago, failure comes from misclassification. The technology will always change, but the fundamental challenge for any company, for any leader, stays exactly the same. Do you really, truly understand the nature of the problem you're trying to solve?